Kathleen, how about a roll call?
Commissioner Blanco,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Seifert,
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez is absent, Chair Dickerson.
I am also here. Let's do the approval of the Planning Commission minutes of June 15th, 2022. Has everyone had a chance to read them? And does anybody have any changes or want to make comments or give us a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of June 15th, 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Public comment period. Each member of the audience, which to any of you in Zoom land there is none, may address the commission on any subject within the commission's business. Each member of the audience and each subject is limited discussion of 3 minutes or is otherwise directed by the chair. We have none here, but I believe we also have a statement about Zoom. So why don't we hear from that?
Thank you, Chair Dickerson and Commissioners. This is Dana Eady, Planning Manager. If you are on Zoom and you wish to comment on an agenda item, please use the raised hand icon on the Zoom platform. Once you are recognized, you will then be unmuted and allowed to comment on the business at hand in the order received. Maximum comment time is 3 minutes or is otherwise directed by the chair. If you're calling in and wish to be acknowledged, please raise your hand by dialing *9 and identify yourself when unmuted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment? Anybody who wants to discuss anything?
No, I do not see any hands raised.
Okay, there we go. Do we have some people out there? Oh, good. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the first item, the all-weather. Actually, before we go to the first item, I would just like to say also for those of you out there, the second item has been continued. So if you're waiting for the second item, it has been continued. I mean, you'd certainly be able to still make comments about the continuation. We can hear from the attorney's office.
Hi, Heather Whittam, Assistant City Attorney. We actually will need you to take an action to continue that to a date certain that Ms. Eady has. So if you'd like, we could go out of order and go ahead and call item number 3 right now. Go ahead and continue it and then go back to item 2. Oh, well, we'll do Industrial Parkway first. Go ahead and continue it and then go to all weather if you'd like.
Yep. Sure. All right. What would you like us to do? Say that again?
Go ahead and call the Industrial Parkway item first. Then Ms. Eady will fill you in on the request for continuance, provide you with a date that they'd like the commission to continue it to.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Why don't we go ahead and shift it to Dana and item number 2 instead of item number 1.
Great, thank you, Commissioners. So item number 2, the Industrial Parkway Battery Storage Project, staff is recommending a continuance this evening to August 3rd, 2022. We received information from the applicant that they are unable to attend this evening, and that's the basis for the request. So we just need a motion and second and vote from the commission to do that.
Which item?
It is item 2. I think there was a little bit of confusion on the posted agenda. It does say number 3 next to it, but it was the way things were
That's the reason why
uploaded.
she said
So it's
that.
technically item number 2, which is Industrial Parkway.
Item number 3 is oral reports. So
Thank you.
And what is the date?
To August 3rd.
And do we need to do any public, do I need to ask for any public comments if somebody wants to on the continuation? So
Yes.
if anybody is out there and would like to make a comment about the continuance, not the project itself, just the continuance of the project, by all means, raise your hands or star your phone.
No hands raised.
No hands raised. All right. As scintillating as the thought was, nobody went with it. Do we have a motion?
I move that we we continue item Industrial Parkway Battery Storage, PD 2021-0012 until August 3rd hearing.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Okay, we will move on, we'll move back in time to item number 1. All Weather Landscape Inc. Outdoor Storage Conditional Use Permit at 1272 West Betaravia Road. Carol?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Carol Ziesenhenny. I'm a planner presenting the project before you tonight. This is a conditional use permit to allow for a screened outdoor landscaping material storage yard to provide permanent staging area for live plant material, soil, mulch, and other landscaping materials that All Weather Landscape Incorporated utilizes in their day-to-day operations. So a screened outdoor storage use in the commercial manufacturing district is subject to obtaining a conditional use permit, which is why we are here this evening. This is the project location. It's located at Betaravia Road. Directly across to the north is Betaravia Self-Storage, and to the south there's the Pepsi distribution warehouse located off the Betaravia McCoy Alley. The surrounding uses to the east, south, and north are commercial or light manufacturing uses, including a pipe supply company, a Pepsi distribution warehouse, and a mini warehouse, which is the Betaravia Self-Storage, which was at last hearing. A point of clarification I'd like to make in the staff report, the Pepsi site was identified as a bottling plant. However, based on a recent business license application that the city received in June, the products are already packaged, so the property is not a food producer, it's just a distribution warehouse. To the west is the Lighthouse Baptist Church. So the parking lot is located here, and this is the church building. The project site is in the center here. The project site is developed with 2 small contractor office buildings, a landscape installation loading dock. I'll get into more detail on the site plan, but these are the office buildings, a loading dock here, and you can see the existing landscape materials stored on site. There's mature landscaping and some trash enclosures and parking areas. So this is the zoning. As you can see, it's surrounded by industrial uses with the police station just down the road and McDonald's off of Skyway and Blosser. This is a view of the existing site from Betaravia looking south. You can see the mature landscaping with palm trees and the buildings. The next slide will show the proposed storage yard, which will be completely screened by the buildings from Betaravia Road. So this is the project site. As I'd mentioned before, it's developed with 2 office buildings and storage areas. There's a trash enclosure and storage area over here. This is the loading dock that I'd mentioned, so there's stairs to go up and load it onto landscaping trucks. In this green rectangle is the plant material staging area, and in these circles are the mulch, soil, and amendments that are proposed to be stored there. All Weather Landscaping Incorporated is a licensed landscaping contractor that has occupied the site for over 10 years. Additional landscaping is proposed along the Betaravia Road frontage of 3 street trees, and there are existing shrubs along the alleyway. Conditions of approval are in place for those to be maintained and irrigated. So with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission by motion approve conditional use permit U 2022-0001. Staff is available for any questions, and I believe the applicant is in attendance as well.
Thank you very much, Carol. Before we go to questions, ask any of the commissioners if they've had any ex parte communication with the applicant. No, and I haven't either. Do you have any questions for staff before we move on to the applicant?
I do.
Go ahead.
Chair. Of the materials that are does anything have to be covered, or will this be covered at all in any way? Is there a requirement for anything to be covered?
In high wind events, I would expect that in order to prevent loss of their material, they would most likely cover that, but I'd defer to the applicant regarding their practices. But best practice would be to cover with a tarp of some sort.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in terms, I don't know, amendments or what they might be storing out there, if that stuff would be covered, if you've got fertilizer, any of that stuff that could run off and, get into waterways or, I don't know which way the street might slope. Does it slope to, or the site slopes, does it slope to the street, or any concerns from that standpoint? Just curiosity.
One thing I might add is it is gravel base, so it would be permeable. I would not think that there'd be much runoff to the alley, but
Oh, so that entire, it's not paved, that
it's
back
not paved.
area?
It's all entirely gravel base. Yes.
Okay. Still curious, though, if there is any requirement or if they plan to cover anything.
I defer to the applicant on that. They might be able to
Okay,
shed some
thank
light
you.
on that.
But there is no requirement by the city or state that these various things, and when you say amendments, are you talking about fertilizer?
Yeah, soil amendments, yes.
That's a nicer way of saying. No other questions? Yes, sir.
I don't see anything about fencing on this property. They're going to be having some valuable plants. I can't tell from the aerial
Yes.
view. What kind of fencing do we have going on?
So along the entire property is fenced. So along the frontage is a masonry wall with they do have gates here, and then some landscape screening in front of it, and then along the rear and sides is chain link fencing. They have had some issues with thefts in the past, and so they're going to. It's reinforced with plant material to essentially block trespass through the alleyway, and there's going to be a screening, a solid screening, so you can't see in, and it makes it very difficult for a person seeking to enter the site.
So they're aware of it. They've looked at it and they're comfortable with it.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Carol, the Pepsi distribution center, has staff talked to them at all? Or are they okay with fertilizer being right on their back thing? I mean, it's not going to affect their stock or their product in any way?
So staff hasn't received any communication from Pepsi.
Were they notified?
Sorry?
Were they notified?
They did receive a 300-foot notice, yes.
Okay.
So they didn't choose to comment on this project.
Okay. If no further questions, why don't we go ahead and hear from the applicant?
If the applicant is present and would like to make some comments and answer the commission's questions, can you please raise your hand on Zoom? I see Terry Lee and Philip Ball are both present, and they're on the applicant team. Let me try to just unmute them and see if they're available.
Hi, this is Terry Lee, landscape
Great.
architect. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you. If you don't have my address, my business is at 319 North Highway 1, Base 54 in Grover Beach.
Thank you for that.
And I have two questions that were brought to me, but if you'd like to restate them, that's fine. Otherwise, one of them was covering the materials area and the other one was any screening that was being taken care of in the back area on the fence and so on. So the first question, I can tell you what's back there. It's basically different sizes of rock. They use rock in their permeable landscape. It is wetted down on a daily basis, and it is also covered on the smaller rock because of other issues, but not just wind. There is some mulch back there as well, and it is also wetted on a daily basis, and it is also covered for other reasons, including the wind. So if that answers that question. And then as far as the fencing and the screening, in the very back area, the applicant, I should say, has covered the back fence with not only shrubs, but we've used the ag material that's used out there. It's a 50% screening material, so it blocks it very well. And again, that's the alleyway fence. And as far as fertilizers go, if there are any fertilizers, they're in the storage sheds. That's what they're there for. And they are bagged. And they also are under the Department of Pesticide Regulation and closely monitored.
Good, thank you. Additional questions for the applicant? Any further questions? No? Thank you very much. We appreciate it, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
Let's see, so do we have any written communication, Kathleen? No, all right. Any public comment? Obviously, nobody here, but is there anybody out in the universe that wants to talk to us?
If there's anyone who would like to comment on this item on Zoom, please raise your hand and I'll unmute you. No hands are raised.
Okay, unless there's further questions by the commission, we'll go ahead and bring this public hearing closed. And we need, looks like we need a motion, or we can have discussions.
I would move to approve conditional use permit U2022-0001.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Hope things go well for you guys. Okay, let's go on to ostensibly item number 3, I guess depending on which agenda we're looking at. Could be number 4. But oral reports from Planning Commission and staff. Dana, why don't you go ahead and
Okay.
knock that out of the park?
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm going to just give you an update on our upcoming meeting schedule. We already canceled our study session tomorrow, so we don't have any items to present to you tomorrow. July 20th is a scheduled hearing date. We also do not have any items that'll be ready for that date, so I'd like to go ahead and cancel that meeting as well. We have a study session scheduled July 21st, and that is going to be held now in Shepherd Hall because at the last hearing that change was made to your procedures to allow us to have it there. So we've already noticed the meeting to occur at that location and we'll be ready to go. There's 2 items on the agenda that day, the Avante Apartments and a new box facility called Maxco. It's in a commercial manufacturing zone, I believe. So we'll be presenting those 2 items to you for comments and review. And then, yeah. It's called Avante Apartments. It was also known as, I believe, Saramonte in the past. And it's a new plan development permit for apartments at that location. Yes. Yeah. And then I also wanted to just bring to your attention, we have some items going to City Council that you might want to be aware of. One of them is...
Dana, nothing in August?
Oh, I should mention,
Schedule-wise?
yeah. So then August 3rd will be our next hearing date. So we'll have the item that we continued tonight, and then there may be another item on that date as well.
Okay.
That we're working on.
And unsure of the 4th?
Nothing yet for the 4th, but I'd like to just leave it open just in case.
Thank you.
Okay. So then on July 19th at the City Council, the sunset recycling appeal of the Planning Commission's denial of that project is going to be heard at the City Council. And then we also received an appeal of the Caring Hands Vet Clinic that you had at we had at the June 15th hearing. The applicant has filed an appeal of the Commission's approval and specifically regarding the condition on the signage.
So both of them are going to be on the 19th?
No, so that one has not been scheduled yet. We just received that appeal late last week.
Okay.
But July 19th is scheduled and for a sunset recycling appeal. Okay. And that concludes my update tonight, so thank you.
Great. Any other staff updates? No? Anything from planning commissioners?
Yes,
Mr.
Chair.
Seifert.
I just happened to notice that we have a new storage facility right by Pep Boys. Looks like a construction site. Does that have to do something with McDonald's by any chance? Is it just a temporary site? Do we know anything about that? It's behind the real estate building there, and it's quite I mean, they got quite a bunch of stuff there.
I'm not aware of that. I know the McDonald's is under construction, obviously, so it could be tied to that. I can look into that, though, and get back to you.
It seemed odd.
Okay, I'll look into it and contact you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll be curious too, so. yeah,
Okay, I'll let you
loop
all
me in
know.
as well. Commissioner Lopez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dana, I had a question. You brought up Maxco or Make? Because they're all over that parking lot on West Main, right? Are those the ones that store their boxes out on the front there on Main Street?
Commissioner Lopez, it could be related, but I'm not entirely sure. So that's probably another item I can follow up with you on.
No,
This particular site is on Stoll Road, and it's a brand-new facility that they want to build to assemble boxes. Do you know what? Carol might have some information on what you're talking about.
I believe, I'm not certain of the cross street, but there is a site that Maxco might have occupied, kind of mid-east Main Street, next to a few houses. Is that the one you're referring to, Commissioner Lopez? Yeah, I believe that they're intending to relocate to this new facility, but I'm not as up to date with that.
Yeah, I'll confirm that for you as well and let you know.
Yeah, and the reason I was asking is because All Weather came in and they're getting a permit for outdoor storage. And I've just noticed a lot of things in the general view. I live behind the CHP station on Carlotti, and on Carlotti, there's a fire hose manufacturing company that has a lot of stuff outside. So, when All Weather came in, did they come in just because they were told they needed a permit, or? Okay, because you also see Lowe's and you see Home Depot, and I'm just not sure if that still applies to the general commercial districts, that they have to, or they cannot have outdoor storage. Is that kind of, I'm just curious. I see it all around. I don't know.
So I think one thing I would say is when you mentioned Lowe's and some of the other sites, if there were any outdoor storage, or if there was anything happening with those particular sites, we would look at the plan development permit and the conditions on that permit, and then would need to potentially enforce those conditions. With the industrial zones, the outdoor storage specifically requires a conditional use permit in our code. And so with All Weather, I'm not sure if they approached the city or how that came about, but they were notified that they needed the permit and moved forward to get that.
Okay. That's why I wasn't sure, because I know some of the industrial stuff I thought needed that permit, but I didn't know if it went to the zoning administrator for a use permit or something of that nature. So that's the only reason I was asking, so. And then my last question is, Sunset and Broadway, there's a new laundromat going in there. I think I brought this up a long time ago, but there's a 2-pole sign there. Is that coming down, or is that staying up?
Commissioner Lopez, yes, I was in contact with the contractor last week, and it is approved in the permit to be removed, yes.
Okay, all right, perfect, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Commissioner?
Okay, that's all I wanted to make. Just in regards to, I abstained on the vote last time for the Caring Hands Vet Clinic, and at the time I wasn't ready to speak about it. I just wanted to say I abstained. I didn't feel comfortable conditioning it to force Mr. Farseed to accept the sign, but I was really, and I didn't want to not approve the project. I was really hoping they could work it out. I did drive by, and the sign is very prominent. And I hope that the two, I mean, they're both healers in our community. I hope they can come together and come to some sort of agreement. That's why I abstained.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Anything else? I call this meeting